Okay, well, to also give us some thoughts on what we're talking about now, we're joined now by Mr. Chukwuma Ezeala, who is a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, the National Assembly, they're back from their recess. So many matters on their table. I mean, you heard us talking about this national conference, the draft constitution. They will focus on it, as he's highlighted. But how do you expect, or what do you expect them to look at in terms of, yes, what the constitution is about and possible outcome or result of their review of that recommendation?
You see, the National Conference, they finished their deliberations. Some of the issues are issues of policy, which I think the executive arm of government can just implement because they do not in any way infringe on the Constitution, on the present Constitution as we have it. Then some of it are things that would have to go into the amendment of the Constitution. There are two schools of thought today. Should the recommendations be made, be made in form of a constitution and sent to a referendum? The next issue is, should it be sent to the National Assembly for proper legislative actions in accordance with the present constitution? Now, in the present constitution, you have the sections 8 and 9 that are very important, on the amendment of the constitution, which says that most parts of the constitution can be amended by 2/3 majority of National Assembly, but upon concurrence of 2/3 states. That is legislative approval of 2/3 of the states of the Federation. But now you have also the section 8, which borders on creation of states. Now, the section 8, the section 8, section 9 to also borders on how do you amend those sections, section 8, section 9, and chapter 4, which says that 2/3 will amend, but upon concurrence of, 4/5, 4/5 will amend upon concurrence of also 2/3 of the states. So that is really a very serious issue for us to go into. And the fact that most of the resolutions of the National Conference will also border on how does the National Assembly work, how would the state assemblies work, how would the governors work, it touches on the system.
Do you see us making progress before the end of this legislative year?
I don't see us really making progress because of the
Why not?
elections.
Oh.
So they are now serious with, do I get back my seats? That is why they could not do it during the recess. They left. They are not thinking of any other thing. They all want to be party to the elections.
It was time to go and consolidate in their various constituencies.
Exactly.
But, looking at the tone, I mean, I don't know if you saw that report. I think you came in while it was playing. Did you like the tone of resumption, of the National Assembly, the pace at which they resumed?
I have seen, yes, I saw a little of it here. I have seen, in fact, I watched some of them when they were doing it live. The tone was not really, it's not really like a tone of people who are seriously committed to nation building or who have gone on recess, looked at the situation around, and they're coming back. I mean, there are things we expect them to look at. We expect them to have
things.
Yes, we expect them to look at what are the paramount things they can achieve before the end of the legislative year. We expect them to come up with a timetable. What are the bills they should look at? We expect them to, just for instance, we're talking about Nigeria being in a state of war. They will think, what is the timetable? The petroleum industry bill that we've been talking about for a long time, the constitutional conference we are talking about, are there things they want to do? Are there areas they can encourage the executive? The issue of corruption. So we thought they would have come up with such.
You seem to have this broad list of things you want the Senate to take on, or even the National Assembly, but it would seem that just one thing was on their minds, and that was security. You heard the Senate President, he spoke very strongly, the fact that Nigeria needs to face this headlong, and we mustn't mince words anymore when we're saying that we're in a state of war. He says he doesn't know how else we can say this apart from where we are. Don't you think that already shows that, with that perhaps single-mindedness, at least one major area that's been plaguing us will come to an end.
No, yes, we're in a state of war, like they rightly said. But what we are saying is that there should be a legislative calendar for the remaining number of days. Are we simply going to just say we're in a state of war and we face war?
No, but I thought they have. Or you expect them to announce it?
Of course, we should know. That should also, in fact, it's part of the things that you have in the Constitutional Conference report. Issue of monitoring, issue of evaluation, issue of planning. So they should tell us. We should know what they have, and we should be able to measure them at the end of their legislative year.
This arm of government is very important to the extent that the success that we hope to achieve in the coming elections has to do with addressing some of these issues you just highlighted, issue of security, issue of all of those that we just listed. Now we have just a small amount of time before the big elections in the early part of next year. How can they speed up things now that they already have agreed that, well, we are in a state of war, or we have so many other issues to tackle?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the legislative year practically will end by end of October. Just 6 weeks.
Couple of days.
Yes, because by November, all of them will be going back to think of how they will get the tickets. So November, because PDP, they already have their timetable. In a short while, the APC will also release theirs. So which legislator will you see working from November? So within these 6 weeks, we are in a state of war, yes. All we need to do is to say, what does the executive need? It's just they prepare the resolutions and they approve it, but that one becomes aside. They now continue. What other things do we aim? What are the things we should achieve at this stage, in these 6 weeks? Are we going to call off our Friday, do we also make use of Saturdays and Sundays for committee meetings? So as to see what are the things that are present, especially some of the bills that are already at the advanced stage. Those of them that are in third reading that they just need to come under and finally, approve and send to the executive.